Emily. All great relationships kind of boil down to one word: intimacy. Now, we're not talking about the kind of flesh-on-flesh intimacy stuff here, or maybe we are, but what we're talking about is the kind of intimacy that accelerates trust, that accelerates vulnerability, that accelerates two people really coming together and caring about each other. That's where relationships are. And I don't care if it's a business relationship where you've got a leader that really cares about your success, or whether you've got the intimacy of friends helping each other in the workplace, or comrades in arms making a difference in society. The intimacy is critical to accelerating that kind of trust. So what we're going to talk about today is the recognition that you can take intimacy into your own hands, so to speak. What I mean by that is you can actually purposefully accelerate intimacy without being fake. Now, I remember when I was at Yale, I came there very poor. My pop was a steelworker, mom was a cleaning lady, and I was ashamed. I felt that everybody else around here had been, groomed to go to Yale. Their parents had gone there. They had gone to the best prep schools. They had had all of this pedigree, and that I didn't have. I felt insecure. I felt I didn't belong. And as a result, I actually didn't share a lot of myself at school. Not until about junior or senior year did I start letting my guard down and letting people in. And I got to tell you, that impacted my relationships at school. I've written about it, and it's embarrassing in retrospect to realize that I pushed away so many people that I didn't have to push away. That by being just myself, my authentic self, that I could have had better relationships with people than the insecure individual trying to pretend that everything was great and that I wasn't somebody that I actually was. It wasn't pretty. Now, how do I know this? Because years and years later, I came back and I spoke at Yale to the freshman class. And I had everybody in the freshman class at the convocation introduce each other in a more intimate way. I had them ask a question, and the question was, what experiences have you had in your past that most impact who you are today? Tough question, huh? Or at least it could be. Well, for two individuals that happened to be sitting next to each other, one a very strapping crew guy, and another one a young woman from the inner city, had just coincidentally sat next to each other and started sharing what they really had in their past experiences that impacted today. Well, the young woman talked about the fact that she'd been homeless just a few weeks before she got to Yale, and how in tears in her eyes she was so afraid that she was being rejected by the people around her because of her economic circumstances. Kind of felt like my story. But then the young man shared the fact that he was estranged from his parents, that his father was distant and didn't care about him, and how he showed up, yes, looking from the outside like he had this perfect life, but at the end of the day was really touched by the intimacy that this young woman had with her family, who were all living in a car together just weeks before, and who did everything that they could possibly do to get this young woman an education. The two of them bonded. The two of them became friends. The two of them became such good friends that they stayed in touch. And years later, after school, I heard from those two individuals talking about how that very day that they let their guards down and that they connected created a friendship for life. Now, I'm not necessarily suggesting you're going to have those kind of goosebumps like I have right now, just hearing and thinking about that story through your exchange. But what I'm asking you to do is just be a little bit more you. Go into your personal life with some people. I'm not saying be sloppy or pathetic. Come on, you got into a great school. People respect you by virtue of that. Now all I'm doing is asking you to let your guard down a little bit. Go pick one individual that you feel safe with. Some individual that doesn't intimidate you, but an individual that you feel comfortable and safe with. And I want you to say, hey, let's go to lunch. Let's go have some coffee. Let's go down to the Commons and let's have a conversation. Whatever it is and whatever forum you have, I want you to say, I'd like to get to know you better. I've had a lot of respect for you, and it's been fun to watch you and get to know you more socially, but let's get to know each other really. And you can even say that there was this question somebody posed to you that you thought was important. What are the personal experiences of your life that impact who you are today? Or follow the instructions in the mission for the week for you to really think about how to prompt that question, but go have a deeper conversation on purpose. Being on purpose doesn't mean fake. Being on purpose doesn't mean you're letting authenticity go or you're being anything other than yourself. In fact, you're being your very self. But what you're going to see is that you can accelerate relationships. You'll begin to care about that individual. They'll begin to care about you. It'll become easier and easier and easier as you begin to share. You will probably have to share more of yourself at the beginning than they will, because you've heard this and they might not have. So you be the courageous individual that starts the conversation. But what I can promise you is that you'll see the results. And you'll see the results, I hope that you'll have it in the next conversation. There's no reason to have stupid small talk anymore. Who cares about the weather? Go deep. Have some deep talk. That's the results that you'll have, and it's something that I hope you'll have for the rest of your life. Intimacy.